Dear President Trump, my name is Aubrey Adams, and I have a nonprofit called Every Brain Matters. You said the other day that you are seriously considering rescheduling marijuana to open up research, and I would like you to know that you don't need to do that. There are plenty of subject matter throughout the United States. Our families are being harmed, and the data is not being collected. Before you consider anything, any kind of political move or policy move to incentivize and promote marijuana, to normalize it, to give that industry more ability to make profits and do more advertising, you need to hear the other side of the story. You need to hear the harms and the damage being caused by these state-sanctioned marijuana products from Colorado and California. This is a main significant factor why those states are deteriorating, that have so much crime and violence and mental illness. See, our families are living the nightmare of marijuana. Our loved ones are becoming highly addicted, psychotic, and some are experiencing a syndrome called cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, or CHS, because these products are so toxic. They're destroying the GI tract of people, and people can't eat and drink. It's like if you consume too much alcohol, you vomit, you're sick to your stomach. But alcohol is a water-soluble drug, so usually you recover from that within a few hours if you consume too much alcohol. With marijuana, THC, it's a fat-soluble drug, including the CBD, and it adheres to the fats in our bodies, so when you're at toxic levels, you don't necessarily expel it out, vomit it out. These people are getting very, very sick. They're becoming dehydrated. They're dying of organ failure in some cases, or seizures. I know families that have lost their adult loved ones to CHS. This is real and this is happening, and these problems are increasing. They're not decreasing. Another very significant factor that I don't think you're aware of, and I don't think the marijuana industry is informing you of, is cannabis-induced psychosis. Now, they will argue that you have to have a genetic predisposition to become psychotic from marijuana. That's not true. That's not true at all. THC alone can cause psychosis. And out of all the drugs that can cause psychosis, including meth, THC has the highest conversion rate from those temporary symptoms of psychosis, of paranoia, delusions, hallucinations, to chronic psychiatric disorders like schizophrenia, which is chronic psychosis. It's a state of suffering. Meth has a conversion rate of 32%. So President Trump, like my good friend Christine says, cannabis is the new meth, and it is a significant factor in the violence across America. Not all people that become psychotic become violent, but they're at higher risk to do. 15 to 20-fold increase to become violent. And severe violence, just random acts of violence, of these delusional evil acts. We are seeing it every day in the United States of America. And that data is not being tracked right there. That's the move you need to make. You need to get the toxicology reports on all the perpetrators that are committing these violent acts, and you need to look at their history, because even when they stop using marijuana, they can be permanently psychotic from marijuana. And so you need to collect that data and see what is going on in the brain of these people that are picking up guns and going into our schools and killing children. What is going on in the brains of somebody who's just sitting on a train and gets up and stabs a young lady to death? President Trump, the science is clear when it comes to cannabis-induced psychosis. There's a large study out of Denmark, over 5 decades of data, over 60 million people were included in that study. They concluded that 30% of young men ages 21 through 29 would not be schizophrenic if they were not addicted to marijuana. And that's old school hippie weed, the low potency stuff, not the state sanctioned, out of control, potent, dangerous, toxic marijuana products that states are producing like Colorado and California. I have heard you for years tell the youth, don't use drugs. I've known for years that you have supported adults with their drug use, trying to get them into recovery. Why would you incentivize an industry that's profiting off addiction and mental illness? Our families, like in my case, I lost all my equity trying to pay for my son's rehab and his treatment. I know families that are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to save their kids, trying to save their young adult kids, trying to save their mothers and fathers. I know families that they were average marijuana users throughout their whole life, then they got this more potent stuff, and now they're totally mentally unstable. So President Trump, I'm making this video to ask you not to reschedule marijuana. I'm asking you to please meet with the families that are living this nightmare. Governor Abbott ignored our families, and we worked very hard to support the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, and his banning of THC in Texas. Once people are empowered with the real truth of this drug, it's a no-brainer. We don't need to promote it. We don't need to incentivize it. We don't need to throw people in jail for it either. But we cannot commercialize and keep going down this road and supporting profits over people. President Trump, please listen. Please set up a meeting with the families that have been harmed. Hit the pause button on this march to reschedule, because this will be one of the biggest mistakes you make. I guarantee it. And we want you to be successful. We want to support your campaign to make America great again. And we want to support your campaign to make America healthy again. And descheduling marijuana will not make America healthy again. It'll make America addicted, psychotic, and violent.